This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system.
Hello and welcome to the Boundary Park alert system with me, Matt Dean, in a very, very sunny Oldham this morning. The north of England is resplendent in early spring-like weather, which is amazing. Not like yesterday where we had sleet and snow at Boundary Park and hailstone, I think. Our South of England correspondent is in London, Andy Halliwell. Good morning, Andy.
Morning, Matthew.
The sun seems to be shining through your window there.
Yes, nice and bright down here. Fresh, but nice bright day. Yeah.
Lovely. It's good. I now know what I can see the rest of the room in my mind now, finally, after my visit to Chiswick a couple of weeks ago. So I've got a better picture. I know you're a little bit better now, having spent the night in your house. And I've not spoke to you since for the pod, have I? Because last week you weren't able to make it. So it's you've had a week away from the pod. You're now back.
Yeah, I'd have rather done the pod. I was dealing with children being poorly.
Yeah, it wasn't a nice absence. So I'm glad everything's back to normal anyway. So that's good. So we've got a fan guest who's a bit of a blast from my past, actually, and quite a distant past now. Now that we're well and truly in middle age. So Andy, you'll do your usual thing where you ask the fan guest a few questions and he'll answer them, and then we'll let everybody know who it is. So please crack on.
So, fan guest, when was your first game?
So that was 1985-86 season, and it was Huddersfield Town at home, 1-1.
So the season before the playoffs, 85-86, yeah, season before the playoffs.
Yeah, the season before the playoffs, yeah. Just got in at the right time.
Yeah. Well, you started one season before I did. I joined in the playoff season. Who was your first favourite player then from that era?
I doubt Andy Gorham, brilliant goalkeeper. I don't know if Matt remembers, I was in nets all the time in my youth, and I followed Andy Gorham big time. He was an immense keeper.
I do remember that. That does check out.
Yeah,
fact verified.
And for a relatively short man as well, Andy Gorham, he was brilliant in the air. He had a right leap on him, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I used to watch him. He was in the Chaddy, held onto the fence behind the goals. Yeah, as close as you could nearly touch. And
that's the real reason, James. He was the only player you could see from there. That was my experience as well.
Yeah. It took a long time after the game for my arms the numbness to go. I don't know if anybody knows him. It's like the cold and the numbness. That was the memories from that time. So yeah.
What's your favourite Latics related memory then?
Oh, I mean, there's so many from that time. Because we obviously started watching them at a time where we was on a serious incline, and so it's difficult to sort of say, but at that time, I was lucky. I managed to become a ball boy for the season that we got promoted. So I saw every game very close up, and it was just immense, really. But I suppose, like a lot of people say on here, the penalty against Sheffield Wednesday, that obviously was it's got to be the pinnacle. But there was so many good days out and away days that year to sort of talk about. I mean, Portman Road, but yeah, the penalty.
Where were you in the ground then? If you were a ball boy, where were you stationed for that penalty?
Well, this is the thing. The picture of Redfern scoring the penalty. There's a photograph which there's been loads of pictures made of, which is kind of taken from behind the Chaddy to the right of the goals. It's showing him side footing it, and there's been loads of pictures of that. But just under his hand is a grey dot, which is me. That was just in front of the looker's paddock. So you're looking across at it. Yeah. And so all them pictures, I just keep appearing. So yeah, that was I got captured in what probably was one of our most amazing
Iconic,
photographs.
most iconic moment, let's say, yeah. For sure.
I seen online the other day actually when I was looking at it, and I thought I need to mention this. But there was like people made jigsaw puzzles and hand drawn pictures. You know, there's like all sorts of different takes on that image. Yeah, iconic. So I mean that, and obviously as that went in, the rest of it's just kind of a blur.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, very lucky.
Did you spill onto the pitch with the fans then? Did you get caught?
Yeah, well, I was probably behind. I was behind everybody because we were coming across, and everybody had obviously spilled out that way. But yeah, it was immense.
Yeah. Well, the last question, if you listen to the podcast every week, is: can you tell us a little unknown fact about yourself? Well, you probably blown that. You could have saved that for this.
Yeah. I did. I tried to think about a few things that would be relevant or sporting related that kind of we can use in this instance. And there was something I'd forgotten about, and I was I did my dad's, and I found a picture of myself and the 17-year-old Sachin Tendulkar. And what happened going back to 1990, the touring Indian cricket team was at Old Trafford. And
was that his debut? It was either his debut or his first 100. One of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think Atherton got 100. I might be wrong there, but I think Atherton got 100. Anyway, through a friend of a friend, I got invited to go down to watch them practicing in the nets at Old Trafford, and actually ended up facing some spin bowling from I don't know what the guy was called, but he had glasses and he was a tricky spinner. And
so is that Sourav Ganguly?
No, it weren't. No, it weren't. I didn't see him again play. I'd have to look him up, but I'll get it. But Tendulkar was showing me how to do a forward defensive, so I didn't realise at the time. But anyway, the thing was, it just continued. The afternoon just continued, and they got invited to go into Manchester with the team afterwards. And anybody who knows me knows I like a curry, right? So you can see what's going to happen here. And I'd never been for a curry at that age. I was 15. I'd never been for a curry. And I ended up on the Curry Mile with the touring Indian cricket team, sat next to Sachin Tendulkar, and he ordered my first curry for me. So that's the little unknown fact that I've never really shared with anybody. That was the only thing I could think sporting-wise. But when I think back to it, it's pretty good.
That's pretty amazing. Good. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm not into cricket, but it's still an impressive story. I'm sure that Andy's got a big smile on his face. He loves his cricket.
Yeah, and it was a chicken korma. You thought something else about that. Just did you like some spice? The spice? Don't know what spice is. Yeah,
he eased you into it, and that shows what a lovely guy he is. Because he could have ordered you a Vindaloo or a Madras, and you might have been struggling, but.
Yeah, you obviously didn't know how successful that guy was going to be. Yeah.
Even I've heard of him, and I'm not into it. Anyway, that's enough cricket. We don't want to put people off, but yeah, nice one. So, welcome to the podcast. Who are you?
James Beattie. For all those who know me.
Yeah, welcome, and those who don't now do, and they know a little bit about you.
Didn't James Beattie play for Southampton and Blackburn?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
You want to know? There's a few stories there. Going to hotels, I work away a lot. I worked with a guy called John Terry a few years ago in Ireland. We're in there. You wanted to see how disappointed they were when me and this 50-year-old bloke walked in.
When James Beattie
the best rooms booked in and everything. James Beattie and John Terry. So it happened. It's happened quite a lot.
There's a period in time in the late 90s when I was first come to London where I used to pretend to be Jerry Halliwell's cousin.
So I mean, when I've been to a few games or where we've been in hospitality on away games, you want to see the disappointment. We've got my own table and that, and James Beattie, you've changed a bit. Still northern.
Yeah. Right. Well, for anyone who's tuning in, open, we had an exclusive interview with the former Blackburn and Southampton player, James Beattie.
Yeah, and Rangers.
Even better, we've got former St Margaret's Primary School and Cascum Moor goalkeeper, James Beattie, which is even better, I think. So that's where I remember you from. We were at the same schools, but you were a year or two ahead of me. So, yeah, I always remember you in your goalkeeper's jersey. Yes, absolutely. And you just messaged the podcast to be involved and get on board. And then when I said, "Are you the same James Beater that you scored?" And then there was a few dots were joined. Then
yeah. I mean, I didn't make the correlation actually, but when you said that, then I did. Like you say, we're all middle aged now and changed perhaps from what our memories were of it all.
Yeah.
But
we should probably say at this point, Matt, if there are other people out there that want to come on the podcast to be fan guests, just get in touch with us and we'll line you up.
Andy, we've had quite
a lot of people to see.
Yeah, we say it every week in the credits. If everyone just listens through to the end of the credits instead of switching it off as soon as they come on, they would hear it. We can actually see the analytics in like Spotify, and you can see where people's like switch off, and no one ever makes it to the end of the credits. Well, not many, but yeah. Look, we've had a lot more inquiries like off the cuff this season, haven't we? And there people wanting to get involved. We want to hear from everybody. We really do. There was a conversation about it at Ladies' Night the other night at Boundary Park. About we've opened it up. We've asked loads of women to come on the podcast, and talk. It's because it is a very male dominated, this podcast, but that's not through a lack of trying for getting female voices on. So hopefully we'll get more women on the podcast in the future. It's open to anybody. It really is, as is the phone, and we really want to hear everyone's points of view, everyone's opinions on Latics, and everyone's got we'll give everybody the time of day and the respect that is due to them. And remember, we even gave Barry Owen respect when he came on initially. Obviously, he's burned his bridges when it comes to any respect these days. But back in the day, he did. So anyway, let's move on from our dark and distant past, and let's talk about our present. Let's talk about yesterday. Initially, Latics off the back of very, very disappointing performance against Kidderminster at home. Much better against what I would describe as a pretty easily side. They didn't really turn up and compete, I didn't think, but we did the business. Against a much, much tougher opposition in Southend yesterday. James, did you watch the match?
I did, yeah. I did. I watched it.
What did you make of it?
Well, I think we battled hard. I think it was obviously a lot better than Kidderminster. I suppose Southend were a difficult team, like you say. It's hard to see, at home how it's so sort of up and down. It's difficult to understand why that's the case, but I think we played a lot better yesterday, and we're disappointed not to take the chances that we had. I think we had a lot of decent chances, probably the best of the chances, and it's them fine margins that make the difference, I guess. It was quite. Their goal was scrappy, wasn't it? We didn't kind of get it. We didn't clear our lines. We didn't hoof it out, which we're pretty good at. So usually that's what we're good at. So it was disappointing to concede late on. I thought we'd cracked it, but I think if we'd have got the goal, I think if it had scored in the first half, Sheeran, when he had that chance, I think it was a great save. But it maybe 2-0 would have been good enough to see him off.
Yeah, should we ever listen to Mickey Mellon to see what Mickey Mellon made of it? Here we go.
Mickey, was a point fair this afternoon?
I think so. I think it was a real tough battle. We had some really good chances, probably the best chances in the game. But it was a real tough game. I played Southend. I thought they were a decent side, and made us work very, very hard. And the conditions became very difficult as well. So yeah, it was a battle. That's what it was, and we kept going, but unfortunately just couldn't get that winning goal.
You touched on the chances by the time they equalised. Could we easily have been more than 1-0 up?
But yeah, I think we go 1v1 with a goal, and then Noz's volley, a little lob. Maybe he would definitely want to do better with. But like I say, I think sometimes you have to give both teams credit and say it was a real tough battle and difficult conditions, and both players going really at it. So yeah, that was it really. Just disappointed that we couldn't clear the box for the equalise. We didn't find the opportunity to get it out when we defended some of the other long throws so well and the set plays so well. Just weren't able to get out of the box, but then the lads got a slight deflection and they've equalised.
After the disappointment at home last week, how important was it that we put in an improved performance?
I think it's always important that you try and play well at home. I think that's what we want to try and do. And we were more solid today and worked really hard. There's always things that we want to do and we want to improve and want to do better. Always will be. But we took part in a tough game. We took part in a tough game between two good sides at this level, and nobody could separate us.
Good strike from Sharon, wasn't it, to get the goal?
Yeah. He'd be disappointed he didn't score the one in the first half. I think he was gutted, I think, because they'll say great save, we'll say in a tight game, we maybe want to slot that, but he's made up for it, hasn't he? He showed some good character. He's burst into the box and scored another good goal from midfield for us, so that was good. It was a good showing good character from him.
Devon Green came off in the first half. How's he?
I think he'll probably have to go for an X-ray. I think it's swollen up. I didn't see it; it was too far away. But he'll go for an X-ray, and we'll get him well looked after. And as soon as we know what we'll let people know.
He started the game really well, didn't he, Devon? Did him coming off affect us at all?
Well, he is. He's with pace, and he's with pace out wide. We don't have a furnished with loads and loads of wide players, are we? So he does a particularly good job for us there. But then Hogan went in, and because the lad there on the left hand side for him is a good player. He's a good player, and we knew that he was, if allowed, was going to cause us problems. But then Hogan went over and did a good job on him as well. But we missed the Van Lee's pace because he can stretch people and get down the sides of people. But the rest of them battled away gamely, and like I say, we just couldn't get that break to get the winner.
And just finally, how good is it to see James Millward back on the pitch?
Yeah, really good. It's good to have him back. He's still a wee bit rusty, but he'll with training under his belt and games, he'll get back to being the force that we all know that he can be. And we're already looking forward to Tuesday. That should be a cracker. So look forward to Tuesday, and we go again.
Thanks for your time.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, pretty much what you said there, James, about it being a tough game and a scrap, and it was better to watch, as a spectacle, because it was more of a competitive game. There's more chances. You get a lot of different feedback from social media and things like that. People have different opinions of it. In places, I thought it was a decent game. I think I'll give a big shout out to Liam Hogan. I thought he did really, really well yesterday when he came into the right wing back position. So he's played centre half, left back, and right wing back so far, and he did do really well. It was a shame that Green went off because, like I say, he's something different. But I thought we caught pretty well. We had to shove it. It was frustrating because we started the game with the same team, the same formation, and everything that we did against Eastleigh, and that was a really positive thing because we've not done that very often this season, and you could tell that it was, it just looked better, that we were more settled, and it was a shame that so early on in the game it has to get changed like that, but that's just the way it goes, isn't it? What was your experience of yesterday, Andy? Did you listen to it, or what?
I listened to the commentary, yeah. I sort of flitted in and out, so I didn't catch it as much as I might normally do. But I was at Eastleigh on Tuesday. I went to that game, so I saw that live. It was much better. That Eastleigh performance in the week was we were passing the ball through the lines. We were keeping it on the floor. There was clearly an instruction for Hudson not to just boot it long every time he got it. So he was rolling it out. Primarily went down the left side, so out to the left back or the left-sided centre half, and then we just build through there patiently and slowly and retain the football. But you're probably right. Eastleigh didn't press maybe as much as Kidderminster did the week before.
It was like Maidenhead and Woking were away. The two away games against Maidenhead and Woking, where for some reason they just felt that it was okay to let us to settle and play a bit of football, and when clearly we don't like to be harassed in the way that some other teams do it, and so I feel like they'd almost not done their homework on us, really, some of those teams, which seems a bit odd.
Yeah. But I think the other point to note is you look at Southend. If you've got to bear in mind they've had a 10-point deduction this season. If those 10 points we added back on, they'd be 8th, 2 points behind us outside the playoffs. So
Yeah,
they are one of the better sides, I guess. In the top half of that table, a traditional
definitely.
league side.
It wasn't 4-0 on the opening day. I know that was
don't
something that is etched in your memory for all the wrong reasons, Andy.
Exactly, yeah. Whilst it was disappointing to see 3 points slip, I didn't feel overly bad about the result. It's going to be tough if you look at the fixtures coming up, and if you've had a bit of a nosy at the teams around us. I think we've got one of the hardest set of fixtures. I think us and Gateshead probably have got to play more of the teams around us than anyone else have. So this next month, with some of the teams we've got to play, it will probably tell us whether we're going to be looking to scrape into 6th or 7th, or whether we'll comfortably finish 4th or 5th and even try and push for 3rd. I guess we'll find out. By the end of March, we'll probably know. So teams keep winning. Loads of teams lost points yesterday as well. So I wasn't too bothered by it, particularly after we played much better in the week at Eastleigh. So if you can put that performance on, I think I've been saying to myself that do Norwood and Garner work together near 70-year-old strike force, and is you going to have to play Fondop with one of them? I think probably you're going to have to play. Norwood's going to have to start, and Garner probably makes enough of a pest of himself that you're probably going to have to play those two, aren't you? And you're going to have more chance of getting stuff out of games. I mean, it felt like from the commentary yesterday when Norwood came on, he kind of helped change the game. He assisted Sheeran's goal and he put himself about a bit. So, and Fondop wasn't getting much change, was he, out the centre half? So, no. I suspect if we get those two fit and we can get something out of Dallas, I don't know what, then between those three especially, then we might be able to get some goals out of them and then see where it takes us. But it's so much of a lottery in it, the playoffs, really. Even if we get in there, you don't feel like there's any sort of consistency from any of the teams that are in it. They could easily lose and easy win. So on literally a one-game shootout, it could go any way. It really could.
I think that's the thing, Andy, isn't it? I think we look at it. We always look at everything from our perspective. We look at we talk about our team not being able to maybe handle the big occasion, like against Kidderminster, and our weaknesses at home and our inconsistencies in our performances. But like you said, other teams. Fans probably talk about exactly the same thing about their teams because it is very hit and miss. I just wanted to ask James. Go on, mate.
I was just going to say, if you look at the form table, over the last 6 games we're 8th, and over the last 10 games we're 5th. Yeah. So we're kind of just in that pack, aren't we? We're not being especially good. We're not particularly bad. He's getting the best out of it. The most interesting stat is after yesterday's game, home form. If you take all home games only, we are 17th in the table at home.
Our favourite position. Brilliant.
And we are second behind only Chesterfield away. Wow. Crazy, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Apart from Chesterfield on Saturday when they got spanked at Dorking, which was really good to watch. I must admit, I did enjoy that one on the telly in the morning. But yeah, I wanted to ask you, James, about the team now and how you mentioned there, Andy, about Garner and Norwood, and just how do you feel, James, about the teams, how it's evolved since probably since January really, and since the new since Mellon came in and since the new signings have come in. How are you feeling about the side at the minute?
Yeah, well, I think there's been a massive difference from Mellon coming in, and he has made a big difference. He's managing to grind out results. The team's grinding out results, but he's done that at the same time as introducing new players, and that obviously isn't the easiest thing to do that and get results. It still doesn't answer why we're so up and down, but I think that we're going in the right direction. If we could have imagined that we'd have had Dallas and Norwood up front potentially at the start of the season, would have been cruising, because everybody was after Dallas in the pre-season. So just getting one of them was something, but to have both of them, I know he's not featured at present and is probably not fit. And again, getting him into the team, getting Dallas into the team is quite difficult. And I think the team is still somewhat imbalanced because we've got an injury to Green, and we kind of maybe Walker will come in or something like that, but we still kind of feels a bit lopsided and not complete, even though we've kind of invested quite a lot in the new players. So it's definitely going in the right direction, and I just think it takes time.
Yeah,
and as we're second year in now, and time is not what we don't want any more time in here, do we? So and that's the problem. We want to make changes quickly and improvements quickly and get the results in, and that's kind of happening. But we still get the Kidderminster kind of performances, and Ebbsfleet and all the other ones where it's just mind-boggling why that happens. We've got what would on paper be better players, yet teams that might be part-time come and knock the ball about miles better than we do, and I still don't get that. I still can't compute why we can play at home and get passed off the pitch. We've got better players, and we invested better players, and one-on-ones, there should be better players. I just that seems strange, but again, we're going in the right direction. As you say, our form's been good since the turn of the year, and we've just got to sit with it, and we are going to be in the playoffs, I think, and it will be a lottery. It depends who turns up, on whoever we play, who turns up. But we have got strength in depth, and I think that's probably what we have over maybe our competitors in the playoffs. I think we've got players to come in with good caliber, and if they can turn it on, we should be in a good place.
I think the whole thing that what you're trying to manage all the time is hope, expectation, and reality. Like those are the three things that you're trying to balance. Because as football fans, it's you thrive on hope, don't you? I mean, Jesus. I mean, like we haven't won anything for such a long time, so we're constantly hoping things are going to get better. Then there's the expectation of like where we are as a club and money that's been spent and all that kind of stuff. And then there's just the reality, like you said, of the amount of time it takes for these things to happen. And what I was pleased with yesterday watching the game was I had an eye on next season. Now that's whether that's in this division or the division above. I'm looking at the team and I'm thinking there's a lot of potential here now in this team, but like you said, we're just unbalanced. We're just not quite the finished article, and I think that is why ultimately we struggle to find that consistent form and performances. But I was so impressed yesterday with that midfield pairing of Hammond and Sherrin. I thought they were absolutely superb. I thought Sherrin was man of the match by a mile. The amount of running he did and tackling he did and just pressing from the front, and you know what? I was glad to finally see Hammond and Sherrin getting up with the strikers and having four up top in those passages of play where we're actually going forward. It makes a massive difference. They've got that midfield now. I mean, it's a difficult one to call because Maguire like started off doing what he was doing against Eastleigh, and that just gives Hammond and Sherrin the opportunity to just be a pest, and they're a lot more tenacious now. We have a far more tenacious midfield with them two in it than we have done all season. Conlon, I think, he's struggling to. I'm still not quite sure where he's supposed to play because I don't think he has the sort of like battling qualities and strength that Maguire has in that central midfield position, and he's not really bossed it in the same way. That I'd like to see him, someone in that central midfield position. But like, and then like you say, you've got the sort of the wing issues, and then we've got a wealth of talent up front. Garner, I've been so impressed with since he's come in. I thought he's been really, really good. It's all there. The three centre halves. Raglan played really well yesterday defensively. Like I said about Hogan going out on the left, and Hobson, I think he's going through I don't know. He just seems to be giving the ball away a little bit too much. He seems to not quite be as confident with the ball as he was. But we've got some good players, and I think they're starting to sort of get into a bit of a rhythm with each other on certain days, and then on other days not. But like, so that's the sort of the frustration of the expectation and the reality. The reality is they're not quite there yet, but we are getting there. You can see that we're getting there. Yesterday was a good performance against a good side. I think if we keep winning our away games, I think we need to pick up a win against Bromley now. We don't need to, but we could really do with it on the back of that draw. You know, if we would have beaten Southend and you got a draw against Bromley, you'd be happy with that. It's probably a tougher ask to beat Bromley, but we could do with picking up those 3 points now. It's so tight in that promotion playoff race that it's a massive game on Tuesday, and that's what we want. We want massive games. We want really, really important top end of the table clashes, don't we? At least we've got some now, which is nice for a change.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. No, this, like I said, this next month is gonna really tell us where we are come the end of it. You know, we've got the likes of Halifax away, Bromley at home. The other thing is, I think Bromley and Barnet play each other in the FA Trophy, so one of those is going to have one eye on the FA Trophy run. That could play into our hands a little bit if they get a bit distracted with that. Yeah, it's going to the next month will tell us where we are, and hopefully we come out comfortably in those positions. If I gave you the choice now, would you finish third and take the one home game, or would you finish? Would you finish with the away game? What would you prefer at the minute?
For me, James, I would go with you're better off being 1 game from Wembley than 2 games from Wembley. So that's what I'd take. Third, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe we could just change it so we can have the away tie instead. the one away tie.
You know, but if you've got to switch it on for 1 game at home in the season, make it that one. You know,
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it'd be brilliant. It'd be brilliant. It'd be brilliant for the fans because everyone gets to be. Well, you know, pretty much everyone gets to be there, and rather than having a whatever crappy little. I mean, who looking at the teams that we could get, you're not necessarily going to get big away allocations, are you? And everyone's going to want to go. So it'd be better for the fans if it was home in that respect. But I mean, if we don't finish third, we're going to look at some of the points that we've dropped over the season, and it's going to be really frustrating because if there's like 2 or 3 games that if we'd have beaten sides that we really should have beaten, we'd be right in there because of the part you say about teams dropping points, and that's why it's really important we have to beat Bromley on Tuesday so that we close that gap. One gap we don't need to worry about is the gap between us and Rochdale. Obviously, that is well and truly is it a gulf? Is it classed as a gulf at this stage? They're miles behind us, aren't they? So that's good. But
well, I mean, I guess good news for them this week that they've got potential new owners. Because that's the other thing every now and again when you see one of those stories like what's happened to Rochdale and Torquay, there. But for the grace of God, we did exchange messages when we had a little nosy at this Southern state American company looking to invest in Rochdale, and the chief executive was some pastor at some Bible Belt location in a southern state
in Texas. Yeah,
you just think, oof. There are certain times when you think, thank God we've got a local family involved. Involved in the community, and we're lucky, aren't we? Really?
Yeah. And we wish them best. We wish them well, don't we? Last thing you want is for a club like Rochdale to go bust. I mean, it's a difficult enough thing keeping Rochdale ticking over, and they do. And we love our Rochdale away, don't we? We've got them coming up on the 6th of April. We're looking forward to that one. But I mean, we hope that all clubs stay in business. Torquay, we've got they're at Reading. There's some clubs going through the mill at the minute, and it's we have to be grateful. We're 2 seasons into our rebuilding program, and we're rebuilding from it was very poor where we were at, but relatively speaking, we're rebuilding from a good place. We're not rebuilding from a Bury point of view, which would obviously be the ultimate disaster. But yeah, I think like this season, everybody said at the beginning of the season we've got to finish in the playoffs. And we currently have a 4-point cushion for that. So, if we don't beat Bromley, it's going to mean that we're going to struggle to catch that second place, but it will probably keep us just within the playoff zone and all that. And like we've said it for weeks now, we've got to have that playoff experience, haven't we? I mean, James, you started following Latics just as we got into the playoffs that first time, and then we've had that, and we've had the 2 other experiences, but they're a bloody long time ago now, aren't they? Even our last playoff experience is a bloody long time ago, and we need to have another one, whether we make it or not. We've got to have it, haven't we? Got to get in there.
Yeah, I think we need that experience, don't we? We need to. It's what, best part of 20 years ago or so since we've had a playoff experience, and we need to do that again. Like I say, regardless of the outcome, we need to be in there and about it. So we've got that know-how. It's typical.
Sorry, James. Go on.
I want to say it was typical back there in the 80s, a typical Oldham to finish third, and then the very year that the playoffs were rolled out. So yeah,
it's one of those. It's one of those quirks of history that you don't know what would have happened if they'd have gone up that year, rather than whether it would have been better for the club, whether it would have been worse for the club, or whatever, because of everything that happened afterwards and stuff. But yeah, it is. It kind of. I want to consign that typical thing to the past. I want typical Oldham to be. Oh yeah, they were brilliant and they won the game. Typical Oldham.
Yeah, takes some getting rid of that, doesn't it?
30 years, doesn't it?
35 years.
I'll tell you what will also be good as well is seeing some more players come through the youth system into the first team. We talked about it a few weeks ago. The likes of that Alfie Atherton in the youth team is banging goals in all time. I know he was in the squad the other week, but the youth team won again this weekend against Port Vale, 2-0 away, I think. And we appear to have some good players in there. And you just look around as well. I don't know if you've noticed that Junior Lawamba, who went to Salford, I don't know whether we ever got any money for him. We always assume we got a little bit of money for him on the basis we offered him a deal. But he's been starting and beginning to score. And Carl Robinson, one of those managers that no one really likes, who's at Salford, perfect manager and club. Those two together, aren't they? I saw him say yesterday that Junior Luamba's probably one of the quickest players he's ever seen. They've just signed a 2-year contract at Salford, extended, and you think to yourself, so the youth team does bring these players through. And another one is Tom Hamer. Obviously, he's been at Burton now for about 3 years. I was reading a report the other day, like he's rated as one of the best full-backs, wing-backs in League One. Championship clubs looking at him. I think we've got a sell-on fee. You think these are players that we brought through our youth system. We really could do with retaining them. And
getting more out of them in the first team.
Getting more out of them. Yeah, exactly. Because obviously we sold a lad to Fulham, and not so long ago we sold one to Newcastle. We sold Aaron Atkinson to Barnsley at the start of this season, who was another prospect in the youth team. And you just think it's just horrendous. I'm not going to call Barnsley a bigger club, but Premier League clubs or Championship clubs just coming like vultures to steal your players. Speaking of which, this week, Matt, there's a podcast which is, I can't remember the name of it now. It's got Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Micah Richards on. It's a pretty well-known podcast. I just clipped a clip from it. Do you want to play it now?
You all have connections to Premier League and Championship teams, but do any of you have a soft spot for anyone in League One or League Two? Love the pod. Keep it up. Thank you, George.
I wouldn't say League One or League Two. We like all football, don't we? But I've got to give a shout out to Oldham Athletic. I was there from 11 till 14. And then I went to Man City at 14. And
I didn't know that, Micah, that you were at Oldham.
No. Did you not know that?
No.
Isn't that the highest ground in the league in terms of altitude?
Oh, I don't know. Well, it's right near the motorway.
West Brom's the other one that competes.
It might be, because when you go past the motorway on the M62, it says this is the highest part of the motorway. So it might be.
Boundary Park.
Boundary Park, of course.
Yeah. So were you weren't there when the AstroTurf was there, were you? What year was that?
We used to train on the AstroTurf at the. Well, it wasn't at the ground. It was at a training park. But it was great memories at Oldham. I used to love it. The staff were great. We had some really good players, but Man United and Man City used to nick all their best players, when I got to a certain age. So anyway, I get to go to Man City at 14, fast forward to about 2005, 2006, 2007, when I'm 17, 18, 19. And we all get fan mail. That's a thing that we all get. It comes to the training ground and all that sort of thing. And it had on there Man City fan / Oldham fan, so he must be it must like both clubs. That must be his lower league team, and Man City must be his bigger team. So I get this letter, the fan mail. I'm opening it up, and it starts wonderfully. Hi, Mike. So good to see you doing so well, coming through the ranks at Oldham, and now you're at City. But you do know that Oldham have a 20% sell-on clause in the contract. So I'm reading down, thinking, oh, it'll be great, whatever. And at the end of the letter, it puts, P.S., I think it's best for all parties for you to leave now so we can get some money in the kitty for Oldham. You've done what you needed to do, and I think it's time you should leave. So I'm like, have I just read this right? He wants me to leave because Chelsea apparently at the time was in for me for 20 million and Man United for 20 million. And for Oldham, it would have been 4 million quid. So
Yeah, well, that's
he made out like he wanted me to prosper in life, and all he was thinking about was his 4 million quid sell-on clause.
P.S. from the Oldham chairman.
I wouldn't put it past the Oldham chairman at the time for that letter to be from him.
Well, I mean, obviously, through the annals of time, we did learn that the Oldham chairman at the time actually sold the sell-on fee to City, which turned out over the course of time to be a good decision on the basis he went on a free transfer, unlike the James Tarkowski sell-on fee that he sold that we would have earned millions from when he went from Brentford to Burnley. But it's interesting I believe I know who wrote that letter.
Really?
Yeah, I won't say whose name it is. But yeah, funny story. I just thought it was interesting. Did you also see, just sort of segueing on, Liverpool won the League Cup the other day, didn't they? And it was all over the show about how many they played. They brought a lot of their youth team on, and they had a lot of youth players in that team, and they still beat Chelsea, and everyone was eulogising how amazing it was. Well, on that Liverpool side, I've got a stat up in front of me now. Of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there were 10 players that come through the youth team that all have medals around their necks. Well, of those 10 players, only 2 of them actually joined Liverpool in their youth as youth players. The rest of them, one of them was nicked from Celta Vigo, age 16, one Fulham, age 16, one Dungannon, age 16, one from Sunderland, age 15. Lewis Kumas was nicked from Tranmere at 11. There was a lad nicked from Leicester at 16, one from Celtic at 16, and one from Newcastle at 16.
So they've had, doing a couple of years work with them, and they've already established, and they've already
It absolutely boils my piss. This it really does.
Skimming the cream off the top of other clubs, isn't it?
Skimming the cream, and then hoarding players by the thousand load. Through because if you think about back in the day that we were talking about earlier, teams had like a first team, a reserve team, an A team, and a B team. So that was ostensibly, let's call it 25 squad players per team. That's 100 players on the books. Whether you were Man United or Northampton Town, you probably had 100 players on your books. Well, how many players have City, United, Liverpool got now? Probably 1,000 from any range, and just hoard these players that don't really. And it just really annoys me that they nick them all. And that just goes back to the original point I made. It would be great to start to see some of these young lads, because that Alfie Atherton, if you listen to Alf Bridge, who's a prominent Latics fan on the message boards. He's a former scout. We've had him on the podcast as a fan guest before. He rates him really highly and says he'll probably go on to play very high up in the Football League system, if not in the Premier League. So you think, can we see him for a year or two before we sell him?
Is a lot of this, Andy, dependent on us getting back into the Football League? Do you think? Do you know what I mean?
Well, because I think always younger players. That's a worry, isn't it?
Yeah, because people. I mean, obviously, there's the funding side of things, but also, ambitious young players are always going to be tempted away to what might be a sort of lesser prospect like Salford, obviously, in the Football League, rather than staying with a bigger club like Latics in the National League. And, the temptation of saying, I can play in League Two, and then that building on their potential career prospects by going into the Football League. I think that's the thing. I think this is why it's so important, so crucial that this season or next season we get promoted. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I concur with that. I mean, we've got to get out of this league, and it, as the penalties of like you say, it doesn't have the kudos of the Football League. So whether it's attracting players or getting people to stay with us, we've got to be further up the league. I think that's what it is, and it's the gains will be cumulative then. If we can get out of this league and we can get the funding for the youth side, keep that going, and bring players through and retain them. We're more likely to retain them higher up the league than we are where we are at present. So, no, it's just we've just got to get out of this league, and as sooner we can, the better.
Yeah, we've got to start delivering on our potential in terms of the size of the club and everything else now. But the encouraging thing is it's all starting to come together. It is coming together. I mean, I saw somebody, I don't know who it was, I'm not going to share them on Twitter, but somebody saying, I'm not renewing my season ticket next season, like, because we're talking about the football at Boundary Park and stuff. And it's like, for me, that's a really, really, I mean, I know the football's not great, but it's a selfish point of view. It's like, we can all contribute towards the rebuilding of the football club, and the club needs our money. You've got to find a balance between what the owners of the football club put in, what commercial revenues are generated, and what supporter revenue goes into the club. But we're at a period of time now where money is always going to be incredibly important for a football club. It needs money to survive and to thrive. And, making that decision of, I'm not buying a season ticket next season because I'm not really enjoying the experience at Boundary Park. For me, it's fair enough. You can do what you want. I'm not telling you, but for me, it's a bit short-sighted, and it's a bit kind of, you're not buying into the long-term prosperity of the club. And I think that's, I think that so many people have done that over the last couple of seasons in terms of season ticket numbers and everything else last season, this season. I'm hoping that if we do make the playoffs this season, that's going to encourage even more people to retain and buy season tickets next season, and we have a really good go at it. And we have, and our fans and our players and everybody get over the hoodoo that's been at Boundary Park for the last few seasons. Because I believe it was Harry Kewell's season, wasn't it, that was our worst ever home season at Boundary Park, if I remember rightly. Was it the 1920 season or the 2021 season when in lockdown? When Harry Kewell was the manager, we were playing in front of, in an empty stadium. I'm pretty sure that was our worst ever season at Boundary Park, and we've not really recovered. No, there were no fans in there then, so we can't blame fans or anything else or negativity or anything like that. So it's almost like whatever it is some kind of a hoodoo or something. But we've got to break that. Like, if we're going to go on and gain promotion from this division and then gain promotion from the next division. This whole Boundary Park as a fortress thing, like at some point it's going to have to happen. And that really is going to revolve around, I think, everybody being in there making loads of noise and recreating some of the occasions that we had back in the day. But yeah, there's a way to go. There's a lot of work to do. But we're like, yesterday was a sign that I took a lot of positives from the game. Obviously, we drew the game, gave away a goal. Was the goal from a set piece again, did he say? I'm not clearing our lines from a set piece? Because I haven't seen it back and I can't remember.
I think it was, it was a set piece, but it was just a scramble, wasn't it, in the box, and we didn't clear our lines. So
because that was,
if it was a corner or a throw in or something, but
yeah, I mean, we'd conceded for 3 games on the bounce before Eastleigh from set pieces as well. So that's a little bit of a concern, because that's 4 in 5 now from set pieces that we've conceded, and that's got, Mickey said that we defend well. Well, we do until we don't.
Yeah, in the main, we do defend well in the main, I think. But then there's just a brain fart and something happens, isn't it? And the free header goes in or doesn't pick up the, it just, I think it's going back to what you're saying there, it's taking the opportunities when you get them, and okay, we're investing for the long term, but when we get opportunities like the Kidderminster Day, we had 11,500 fans in there and we didn't turn up, and this week we'd lost 5,000 fans. There was an opportunity there, wasn't there? And who's to say how many would have retained if we'd have, turned up against Kidderminster? But it's all these little building blocks that we need to get right. And when there's an opportunity arises, we've got to try and take it. And, we haven't done it this time. But yesterday, back to what we've defended well in the main, but then something like that, scrambled, deflection, that's it.
Yeah, when you take a step back from it, though, Andy, it's like there are a lot of variables, aren't there? There are a lot of moving parts. It's not when you're trying to build a football club, when you're trying to manage a football club, and you look at all the different things, all the different layers of management, of personnel, of experience. On a big occasion like the Kidderminster game with Frank coming back and all that, you can fill the park and you can do all the good stuff and corporate and this, that, and the other, make a big day of it. But then you've got the whole playing side of things, and you've got all the players to come in, and it really needs everything to click on the same day. And unfortunately, because it's, you've got all these different people, different things going on, it doesn't just, it's difficult to pull it off to a point where there's a synergy between the whole thing. And look, that's why you look around the game and see how many teams manage it on a consistent level, and how do they do it? You just described about Liverpool. Well, one of the ways they might be doing it is by nicking players from. They do it through paying the best people the best wages to do things the best way. Same at City. There are. It's not an easy thing to do. It's certainly not an easy thing to do on a budget, and to get it right, generally, it tends to go in waves. Like teams have good spells, or clubs have good periods and bad periods for a reason. It's an incredibly difficult thing to build a sustainably successful football club. And so that's what managing the expectation of what success is, of identifying what is success for our club. One of the first steps might be to, like you said, Andy, is to bring in a good youth development system, selling players on, generating revenue, building the foundations of the football club, building season on season. If we get into League Two, we're not necessarily going to bolt out of League Two. We'll have to manage our expectations about what success is in League Two and all that kind of stuff. We again, hope, reality, and expectation. we hope we're going to fire through the divisions and be in top end of League One again in no time. But the reality might not match it. But I think as far as fans of Oldham Athletic go, we can be much, much happier this season than we were last season, than we were the season before. And that's progress. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Shall we see how James gets on at Latics, mind?
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, James, you've got loads of seasons that you can remember. Surely.
Yes, loads of things to forget. a long history there. I don't usually do too well at this, so
it's tough.
Low.
It is tough. It should be called Latics Geek, shouldn't it? Really, just to see who the real Latics geeks are. Andy, have you ever done it?
No.
We should see what Andy. I reckon Paul needs to set up a separate set of questions for Andy at some point, because I reckon you'd be pretty good at it, right? Because you're a Latics geek. I've been in your spare room in your loft and seen all your stuff that you sit there and read. And he's got this little rocking chair, and he's got all this stuff next to it that he just sits there and absorbing all this Latics stuff. Anyway, good luck, James.
Oh God, yeah.
Here we go.
Lee Richardson famously scored 2 on his debut versus Charlton in 1994. Who else bagged a brace for Latics that day?
Paul Molden.
Sean McCarthy. What nationality was James Wesolowski?
Polish.
Australian. Who did Latics sign from Halifax Town in the summer of 1991?
Pass.
In 2002-2003, Latics were unbeaten in the league away from home until March. Who ended that run?
Doncaster.
Bristol City. Who did Latics beat 4-1 on Boxing Day in 1994?
Pass.
What colour was Latics away kit in 2019-20?
Green.
Orange. How many points did Latics get when they won the second division title in 1991?
91.
88. Who did Latics sign on loan from West Bromwich Albion in the 2010-2011 season?
God. Pass.
Which centre-back did Latics sign from Hull City in 1988?
Richard Jobson.
Peter Skipper. Who scored the last competitive goal in front of the old Chadderton Road End Terrace? Do you want me to repeat that question?
Yeah, it broke up.
Who scored the last competitive goal in front of the old Chaddy Road End Terrace?
Neil Redfern.
Yeah. You're in the picture.
You can't get this one wrong, surely.
So you got one correct and had 3 passes. Passes. Who did Latics sign from Halifax Town in the summer of 1991? Matt?
You know what? I feel like I know the answer to this question, but I can't think what the answer to the question is. So I don't know.
Craig Fleming.
Yeah.
Who did Latics beat 4-1 on Boxing Day in 1994? I think Andy Ritchie scored a hat-trick in this game.
Boxing Day would be fairly local-ish. I don't remember it though. This is what frustrates me. I know I would have been at that game, but I can't got absolutely no memory of it whatsoever. Go on.
It was Wolves. And who did we sign on loan from West Brom in 2010-11? It was a centre midfielder called Sam Manton. Who I think went to play for Rochdale after that, I think.
You are a Latics geek if you remember that one. There is no doubt about it. But yeah, would you have got that, Andy?
Power of one.
I might have got Sam Manton. I do remember getting him on loan. I'd have got quite a few of those.
This is why we definitely need to give you a run out on Latics Mind. We'll save that for some special occasion or other. Speaking of special occasions, we have our end of season party trophy chest on the 18th of May at the Cotton Rooms in Oldham. Hopefully we will have Mickey Mellon and Frank and everybody there holding the playoff playoff final trophy and promotion. But if not, we'll have a great night anyway. So you can get your tickets. Go on to our website, oafcpodcast/shop, oafcpodcast.co.uk/shop, I should say, and get your tickets for that. And is there anything else we need to mention, Andy, before we go?
Don't think so.
Don't think so. We've got Bromley on Tuesday. We've got the phone in on Wednesday. So please do, if you've never phoned the phone in or you've never got involved, give us a ring. Well, don't give us a ring. Click on the link. It's not 1998 anymore. We can do things differently now. We do things differently around here, Andy. Do things properly. Yeah, get involved. Let us know let us know what you think. Let's have a prediction from you, James. How do you think we're going to get on against Bromley on Tuesday night?
I think we're going to win. I think we'll do better against good teams. I think we're going to win. I think it'll be 2-1.
Have we beaten Bromley since we come back into this division, Andy? We've lost twice, 3-0 away. Did we draw?
We drew 1-1 last game of the season.
Yeah. So a win over Bromley. Oh, things you never thought you'd hear yourself say. A win over Bromley is well overdue now. 4 games in. So let's hope for.
They've been in a bad run of form, though, haven't they? Really,
they won yesterday.
But prior to that,
Yeah, they got beat by Eastleigh, didn't they, before that, who were bobbins when we played them. So, yeah, it really is a case of which Latics, which Bromley's going to turn up. But, yeah, it's on. Playoffs are still on. Thanks for joining us, James. It's appreciate. Good to see you after all these years.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me. And it's been an experience. Thank you.
So glad that you got the Neil Redfern question in the end there, because I was holding.
I'd never live that down, would I?
No. No. Nice one. Thanks as always, Andy.
Yeah, cheers, mate. See you
soon.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the podcast, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Boundary Park Alert System, a QPod production hosted and produced weekly by Matt Dean, Andy Halliwell and Dave Bradley. QPod is Oldham's only dedicated podcast production company, and if you'd like to learn more about how podcasting can help take your brand to the next level, visit kupod.co.uk. A huge thank you goes to all those people who subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. We really appreciate you all. Please visit oafcpodcast.co.uk and click Be a Supporter, or find the link in the show notes if you'd like to help us fund the show. It's only $2.99 per month to subscribe, but if you'd rather make a one-off donation, please visit buymeacoffee.com/OAFC podcast or click the link on our website. Don't miss the Latics football phone-in every Wednesday live from 8:30pm. Please visit youtube.com/@OAFC podcast and do hit subscribe while you are there. You can also follow and interact with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok @OAFC podcast. Big thanks go to Eileen Finnegan for writing our excellent weekly blog, which we encourage you to read on our website every Saturday morning, and also to Paul Prendergast for providing us with all the Latics Mind questions. The title music for the show is by Manchester DJ and producer Starion, and for more information visit bandcamp.com/Red Laser Records. If you'd like to be a guest or contribute to the show, we would love to hear from you. Until then, see you next time.